welcome to Let's Talk About, a series spotlighting leaders, authors, artists, marketers, creators, and entrepreneurs sharing tips and expert advice on business, media, technology, and frankly, life itself. I'm your host, Cynthia Nelson, three-time entrepreneur, Forbes contributor, investor, and advisor. Today, we're talking to someone who is near and dear to my heart that I have to say I've known for 30 years. I think it's more than
That's
30
really
years.
true.
Oh, it's really
Wow.
true. Steve Halland, who's managing partner of the Halland Group. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cynthia. Great to see you.
Nice to see you too. You know where all the bones are buried. We did work together a very long time ago, and well, for myself, it was one of the most amazing experiences and companies, I think, for me at least, kind of first big job in an industry that was new in tech that I've ever seen. I mean, you can talk about it too.
No, I mean, it was one of my best professional experiences too. I mean,
Yeah,
great leadership, great people to work with, and we were in a
yeah,
business that was exploding, and we were the
yeah,
leader in that business. So it was a lot of fun through the IPO, through all the
yeah.
success. Yeah, that was a lifetime memorable experience. Yeah.
And I think that's where these big long-term relationships have been formed too, because I still talk to a handful of people that either hired me, I worked with, but I've kept in contact with because there was just this level of camaraderie. And for the audience, that was Ingram Micro in Santa Ana, California, back in the heyday in the early 90s in technology and distribution. But that actually, those things, it's like having it. We were having this big baby, through the IPO, right? But it was just 10,000 people, but I felt like the level of professionalism, but also camaraderie and that culture that we had was so unique. I don't think I've ever seen it again.
I would agree. I mean, I think across the board, it was a great experience. I mean, I worked for Doug Antone, and I actually
Yeah.
talked to Doug a couple months ago. He's retired and thinking big Doug thoughts somewhere else, but it was fun catching up with him a little bit. He was one of the better bosses I ever had, and he exemplified why that culture works so well because there were a whole group of men and women that were just high caliber, great leaders, great to work with, and it was a great opportunity to grow and develop as an executive. I mean,
Yeah.
we had the best, probably the deepest bench of talent I have ever
Oh,
seen at
yeah.
any company
Yeah.
just across the board.
I remember sending Greg Hawkins, who was my not direct boss, but indirect boss at your level, at VP level, a note one time, and he's gone off and done his stuff, and I think living in Portland now and surfing or whatever he's doing. But
He's in
he's in
Oregon, not
Oregon,
Portland. He built a house in,
so you know more than I do.
no, it's fine. It's fine. It'll come back to me. But yeah, he's living in Oregon,
Living in
playing a
Oregon,
lot of golf,
play
having a good time.
golf. Yeah, he's playing golf. But I sent him a note, I think via LinkedIn. This is maybe 10 years ago. And I said, I just want to thank you for giving me enough rope to hang myself. And he and he
I'll
said
bet he got a kick out of that.
he totally laughed and he said, you almost did a couple of times, but the rope never got that tight. But it was great because he realized I was out there sometimes and stirring up and wanting to work on things and had an opinion and was different than a lot of people that I think were there at certain times. And he let me do that. And he gave me
Yeah.
challenges and he pushed me forward. Even if I fell, he pushed me,
And he
but
supported you. I
and he
mean, you
supported
know,
me. He didn't fire me.
my experience too. I mean, not God knows we made plenty of mistakes in
Oh
those
yeah.
years because we were growing so
Yeah.
fast,
So
and
fast.
but always had great support. Greg lives in Bend, Oregon,
Okay, Bend, Oregon. Got it.
which is one of those fabulous parts of
That
Oregon.
very
So
nice,
he's
very
built
nice
some
part.
beautiful house there
Oh,
and living his best life. So
good for him. God
good for
bless.
Greg.
But this brings me to kind of, where you've been and what you're doing now. As we talked about, scaled organizations, from startups, multi-billion dollar enterprises. When you go into these companies and you're looking to accelerate growth, and maybe we take a step back and you can tell the audience what you've been doing and what you're doing now to kind of frame up these questions going forward.
So for the last I mean, I've been in the tech space at the senior leadership level for the last 30 years. So, like you say, startups to big companies and everything in between, a couple of PE acquisitions and those kinds of opportunities. And a lot of it involved restructuring and fixing things both organizationally, culturally, and otherwise. I'm a huge believer in clarity. So one of the first things I do when I meet with any leadership team is talk about what's important. What are you really trying to accomplish? Because what I've seen is again and again and again, these guys are so busy
Yeah.
and there's so much going on and
Yeah.
they're trying to boil the ocean
Yeah.
and you lose the clarity.
Yeah.
And I think if you lose the clarity, it's harder to be successful and achieve the kind of results because you have to define that. You have
Right,
to
right.
understand. You have to have a vision for what it is you're trying to do. And I'm one of the first things that I like to do is have that conversation and talk about creating a vision for what the company's trying to accomplish and what they're trying to do as leaders of the company.
That's a kind of you answered two questions off the top because I think they're both the same. What's the first lever you pull when helping executive accelerate growth is getting the vision and clarity.
Absolutely.
Even if you're a CRO or you're doing exits or you have a startup, when someone's looking to prepare a business for sale, it's got to be the same thing is vision and clarity. What are you trying to be in 5 years? What do you think you're going to sell? Who are the optimal strategic partners, et cetera?
And do you have the organization and maybe more importantly, the culture to
There we
support
go.
that? And,
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're talking to potential buyers. And so if you're in a conversation with a strategic buyer and you're a PE-backed company, and I've been involved in that a couple of times,
Yeah.
these buyers want to understand how predictable is your business?
Right.
Can the business function properly without you?
Right.
Because if you're a senior leader in an organization and companies being sold, you might stay for a period of time,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be there longer term. So they want to understand, is the company able to succeed without you? And that I think is one of the greater challenges, especially for senior leaders, is building an organization, building a culture that's both predictable and can function without this individual, without this, the cult of personality, if you will, that sometimes get created in some of these organizations. And it's super important because, I mean, we're friends, been known each other a long time. For me, the universe pivots on relationship.
Yeah.
Everything I
Totally.
do, and I've got, like you, I've got people in my lives that have been in my lives for many years that I've worked with at different companies. You remember Rick
Oh
Sabraka?
yeah,
I mean,
totally.
Ricky and I have now worked at 5 companies together, and he's running around doing his thing. But these relationships.
Yeah.
So if you come into an organization where it's, there's work to be done. So I was involved with a PE firm that acquired Wise Technology
Yeah.
back in the day. And it required a lot of restructuring and a lot of reorganization for the company to be on track. Now, ultimately, it was very successful. We sold that company to Dell for $3.5 billion. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think you can come up with a better success story in terms of outcome. But the work that had to be done to get it ready for that over a period of years, and it's cultural, it's organizational, and it's relationship.
Yeah.
It's about creating trust within the organization consistently.
Right.
I mean, I'm a big believer in that kind of communication. So when you talk about clarity or start talking about how to address some of this stuff, some of the first things we do is you create a cadence
Mhm.
for communicating. I mean, you'd be amazed sometimes you go into these
Oh yeah.
organizations and they're
Yeah.
not doing weekly meetings. They're not doing reporting in the way that, I mean, you remember the old Ingram 515 reports. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
just you're not reinventing stuff. I mean, you're communicating what's going on at a high level, and they're
Yeah.
not doing that. They're not
Yeah.
talking about what's important on a regular basis and
Yeah.
creating those accountability systems that are so vital,
Yeah.
and being able to be honest about what's really going on. And it's challenging. I mean,
Yeah.
especially for C-level guys,
Yeah. There's an ego
you
side
don't,
of that that's built in too, of like, oh,
yeah,
if
you
you're
don't
not,
get
if
to
I'm
be a
not
C-level,
here,
like,
right?
yeah, you
Yeah.
don't get to be a C-level executive without having accomplished some stuff and having a pretty well-developed ego. And when
Yeah.
you talk to those guys. I mean, so
Yeah.
today, most of my time is spent in executive coaching and leadership development with C-level executives or mid to senior level executives.
Right.
And some of them are great
Right.
and very willing to have conversation, be very honest about the stuff that maybe they're struggling with. It's harder, I think, especially for a CEO. I mean, I've worked with a couple of companies in the last couple of years where I was working with the leadership team hired by the CEO who I had known or knew or whatever.
Right.
And then I would
Yeah.
sit with them and say, okay, let's talk about you.
Right.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you're great, but I've been doing this a long time and I'm still coachable and I'm still teachable.
Right.
So I think it's really important. And you know how it is. These
Yeah.
jobs, I mean, the expectations and the pressure can be insane.
Insane.
You can't
Yeah.
show weakness. You can't ask
Yeah.
for help. It's not
Yeah.
okay, and all that
Yeah.
other nonsense. I believe, because we were talking about this earlier, I just want to be helpful and have an impact.
Yeah.
And if you can create a space or an environment where it's okay to admit that you're having a struggle, it's okay to admit that you don't know what to do or how to do it in a safe way. I mean,
Yeah.
I work with a lot of guys and it's very professional. We do development plans and I become their accountability partner and all that
Right.
stuff. And it's a lot of
Right.
fun. I love it.
Right. Yeah.
But it also becomes more, I mean, I'm like somebody's father confessor,
Oh
right?
God, I can only
They start
imagine
telling you stuff. It's like
everything. You're like, okay, that kind of went over the edge.
a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Always tie it back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the father of five grown children, so
Yes.
I've discovered that some of the principles
Uh-huh.
that work on the coaching side of my life are the same principles I use in my parenting, you
Yeah.
know, especially when you're parenting, well, whatever you want to call it, adult children.
Right.
The relationship, I don't tell anybody what to do. I mean, that's silly. It doesn't work.
Right.
But I offer considerations and I offer an assessment.
Thought.
I offer an opinion based on what I know and what I've done.
Yeah.
And here's what I've tried and what worked for me. So again, it ties back into this idea of what kind of relationships do I think are necessary for any organization to be successful? And recognizing that because I think relationship is key to culture, culture is key to the ability to produce the results the company needs.
Yeah. Those are, and they're those not, uh, what do you call it? They're not KPIs, you know.
And
They're
KPIs are
they're
fine.
hard
I
to
mean, it's
measure, but they underpin everything.
they do. I mean, so one of the processes that I like to use is called a 360-degree assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And in its most basic form, it's so my immediate supervisor,
Right.
some number of peer group, maybe three or four or five, and then
Mm-hmm.
some number of direct reports.
Mm-hmm.
Try to keep it to 10 or 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
Five or six basic questions. It's done in confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are so and then I have interviews. I interview everyone in that group.
Right.
And then when it's all done, you collate the results and you sit down with me and
Yeah.
you go over them.
Yeah.
And it can be very powerful because here's
Yeah.
how your boss, peers, subordinates see you.
Right.
Here's what they like about you. Here's some things that may be an opportunity for improvement.
Right.
And we're going to work together. We're going to put together a development plan to help you both celebrate what you're really good at and continue and get better at some of the stuff that may be an area of improvement. It's a wonderful tool for having a conversation with somebody who's willing to be teachable.
Yeah.
But
That's
if you're
the
not willing to be
key.
teachable, if you're not willing to hear it, then it's and then it's like some C-level guys are not.
Yeah.
I don't need that kind of help. I'm fine. And you go, all right.
Okay. But then they become the chinks in the armor in getting other stuff done because again, if everything's not moving in the same direction, you have a weak link in that. It's like you're not fitting into the program kind of going forward. And you've worked all over the world. You've worked in the Caribbean, Latin America. Thought, you weren't doing the same thing that you're doing now there, but those experiences has that changed how you're looking at people or talking
Yeah,
to
I mean,
people
it's
being,
funny, when especially
Mhm.
with South, and you and I've talked about this a lot. You're very
Yeah,
familiar because, well, Mike worked for me for a long time. So it's,
yeah,
when the Hefe comes in from the US to one of these meetings, it's, and I think, I mean, my personality is such that, I mean, it's about showing up humble with humility.
yeah,
It's about showing up because, especially in Latin South America, they want relationship. That's what they
yeah,
care about.
yeah,
That's more
like,
important to them than anything.
yeah,
It's not about the transaction because, I
no,
mean, if I was going to make a comparison to some of the stuff I've seen in the US, we're a lot more transactional.
by far.
We don't value I believe, in a lot of places,
Yeah.
the power of the relationship. South America, it begins and ends with the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they want to get to know you. I mean, before they're even willing to have a conversation about business,
Oh yeah.
they want to have a conversation about you
Yeah. Therefore, you want
and
to talk about
and
your family, have
family, your
lunch, dinner.
children,
Oh
and
yeah.
what
They
you
want
care about. And they want to, and then, you're often spending time, if you get to know these people, you're spending time with their families.
yes.
You're doing, I mean, I don't know if this is inappropriate, but because I'm
Nothing's
Catholic,
inappropriate on this
right? I'm
podcast.
Catholic, much of South America is Catholic, but and generally that's kept very separate. Of course,
Yeah, yeah.
but I remember being I think I was in Mexico City one year, and then another time I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil,
Yeah.
on Ash Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
And you're in these
Uh-huh.
meetings, and
Uh-huh.
they're all kind of looking at you, and they say, "Well, we need to go to the church and do the ashes today."
Right, right.
And I'm like, "Well, that's great because I want to go with you."
And
So,
they're
so
they're probably like blown away.
oh, they're blown away, and these are all senior executives from these
Yeah.
big companies, and
Yeah.
you spend the rest of the day walking around with a
Uh-huh.
ash cross on your forehead. I mean, everyone's got it.
Yeah.
So it's just a small example of how important relationships are, and they love it.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time just, working on relationships with these guys all over the place, and I love that. It's much in some cases it's much harder to do that in the U.S. People don't respond the same way.
And they don't think about it in that way either.
They don't. I mean, it's a business. We're here to work. You're getting
Yeah.
paid to do a job.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that's all true, but if you can't wrap it around because you create these relationships with people and it's
Yeah.
powerful."
Yeah. I mean, we just talked about it at the beginning of the pod. 30 years have gone by, and we both still remember that being the best executive experience. I mean, I wasn't an executive,
Ever.
I was a little manager,
Hands
but
down.
like hands down because of the culture
They
and
cared
the
about people, and it was shown every day, and it
every
was important. It was very important. And a lot of the guys that you and I worked with have gone on to do some amazing stuff.
totally, totally.
Amazing.
No,
And I
completely.
believe, me too, you too. I mean, I think that
Yeah,
experience at Ingram was so foundational in terms
completely.
of learning how to be a very effective leader and be successful. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. When you're talking to, these executives that they're leading a company through like, rapid scaling, rapid change, like what do you focus on? I mean, we've talked about the relationships, the vision, and the clarity. What are the other things? I mean, they're rapidly scaling. That can be really great, but it's kind of like, the it's that old proverb, right? We may you live in interesting times.
I mean,
It's not
part of the
always
challenge
easy or
is
fun.
a lot of senior guys that I've known, and me too, to be honest, we're so busy trying to do the work ourselves.
Yeah.
We're so involved in every detail. We're so concerned about the success of the organization. We're so focused on, and it's kind of you're missing the point. It's like you're missing the forest because this tree is right in front of you.
Yeah.
And to answer part of that question is helping to develop an organization that can do the work that needs to be done that's scalable,
Yeah.
that you trust. You created that trusting relationship, and you learn how to delegate. And delegate doesn't mean let go. Delegate
Yeah.
means having other people responsible for it and then checking
Mhm.
in with you on a regular basis. If you can't do that, the ability to scale is extremely limited because individuals, I'm pretty good, you're pretty good, but I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not that good. You
Yeah.
know, you have to be able to create an organization that not only do you trust them, but they're capable of doing the things you need to do for the organization. And then
Yeah.
empowering them, communicating with them, checking in with them, supporting them, all the elements that go into ensuring that stuff is happening the way it's supposed to happen.
And that's not always training that they get because it's a lot of work, as an executive to not just like look at the KPIs, but to talk to the people that are working for you, understand them and give them that, like you said it really well, give them that space and environment to tell you the things they need to tell you, not being afraid of the things they need to tell you. Like that's time that they're like tick, 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 tick on their clock trying to go through an IPO and they're like, fuck, now I've got to handhold certain times. That is a hard skill
It can
for
be,
a
especially
lot of
in a
people.
high pressure, stressful
Yeah.
environment. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's essential. I mean, for me, my door was always open,
Yes.
and literally, I mean, there is a thing called respect. So if you have
Yeah.
something really hard to say to me, come in and close the door. You can say it to me and you're fine.
Yeah.
Try not to do that publicly because that can
Yeah.
cause other problems. I was
Yeah.
taught years ago we praise in public and we criticize in private because that's
Yeah.
just respect.
Yeah.
But creating an environment where people trust each other,
Yeah.
where people hold each other accountable
Yeah.
for the shared goals of the organization.
Yeah.
I've only really seen that. I saw it at Ingram
Yeah.
and I saw it at Wise.
Hmm.
I really haven't seen it successfully at any other organization because it's really hard to do.
It's really,
And
really
it's,
hard to
you get the
do.
politics, and the larger the organization, the more
Yeah.
challenging it can become because there's
Yeah.
political stuff. People
Oh,
have their
yeah.
own personal agendas and their
Totally.
own personal needs,
Completely.
and they're so worried about themselves. They just don't see that if you can just let go of some of that, it's
Yeah.
better for everything,
Yeah.
including yourself.
Oh, yeah. It makes it way more fun to be there.
Oh my God, what is it? Jerry Stead.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
Jerry?
Oh, yeah.
What did he say? Work is fun with a purpose. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I used to think that was the hokiest thing I ever heard.
Hilarious.
But you know something? He's right.
Yeah.
Because I think about it today. If you're
Yeah.
not enjoying what you're doing, if it's
Right.
not fun, if you're not laughing out loud
Exactly.
multiple times a day, find another job or find some other way to do this because you're missing
Mhm.
out on the most important part of the experience. This has to be fulfilling. This has to be joyful. This has to be, we spend so much time working. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind numbing
Oh, yeah.
if you can't find a way to turn, I mean, to turn it into a positive experience because it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the great tragedy that I've seen all over the place is people don't understand and leaders don't understand that. It's like, for God's sakes, take the time to understand what's going on with your organization. Take the time
Right.
to talk to people.
Yeah.
Take a real interest. Ask a question and listen to the answer.
And listen, there's the
And
other side of it.
that can be so hard to do sometimes because you know how it is.
Oh,
Sitting in
yeah.
these meetings, I already know the answer.
Right.
I've already figured it out, and I
Yeah.
just need to get everyone on the same page with me.
Exactly.
And
Versus listening to what everybody has to say and how
I
they're
know
interpreting what your need is too. Their interpretation of what you want is sometimes very different.
can be, but learning how to do that with respect, learning how to
Yeah.
do that with care, and just giving people the room to say whatever they need to say and process whatever they're processing. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's so important, but so many don't do it. I mean, I'm working with a company now, and they're struggling,
Yeah.
and my involvement is limited.
Yeah.
I'm on one side of the business, which is fine, and I enjoy it, and I think I'm having an impact, and I'm certainly working with some really quality people. But the PE firm that owns the company is they brought in some professionals to help them do some stuff, and it's
Oh
just not
boy.
working very well.
Yeah, oh boy. That always is
And
difficult.
I'm kind of like
You see it.
I can help,
Yeah.
but oh no, 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 it's we have our own expertise. So, hey, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
I'm just here to help. So
Yeah,
wherever I can be helpful, I will be. But
I
I don't
love
know.
that.
Yeah.
This is how do people get a hold of you if they want to work with you? What's the best way?
Best way is my email address, which is steve@hallandgroup.com, or my cell phone, which is area code 714-270-5775. And that's an original Ingram
Oh,
Micro cell
that's
number
an
from
original OC number. I can't even believe you have it.
1994, my dear.
Oh my God.
1994.
I can't even believe you have that number. That's
That will
amazing.
never change.
Never change.
My kids have it. Everyone that knows me has it. It's my number. So
I love it.
I know,
Steve,
makes me laugh.
it's been so amazing having you on. We could go on for hours. This may actually be a second set podcast on drilling into a couple of these areas I think that you've talked
Nice.
about are big and juicy, but they really require, I think, a little bit more detailed interview. So
Love
I'd
it.
love to have
I
you back
it's
on maybe in the first year in 2026. But as always, it is so fun to see your smiling face.
great to see you as well, Cynthia. Thanks for
It's
the support.
you're so welcome.